only. I discovered turmeric about 10 years ago, and previous to that I just thought it was a condiment, just like pepper and everything else. 10 years ago I was running, and I'd had a feed a big curry, and all of a sudden I realised how well I was running. I was doing a 25k hike run up around the mountains back at Cairns, and I figured out that there was something going on rather than just being fit. And I started to increase my dose of turmeric, and all of a sudden my athletic abilities increased fairly well, and I felt better, and I thought that there was something in this, and so I started to use it. I also started to research it and realised that it was a very, very potent anti-inflammatory. And then I started some of my veterinary patients that had itchy dogs and itchy horses on it. And then one of my nurses said to me, well, how do we know the long-term use of this on the dogs and the horses is going to be any good or not? Is there any data on it? I said, no, there's no data on it at all, but it's been used for 3,000 years in human medicine, so it shouldn't be too bad for dogs and horses. And she said, why don't you start up a Facebook group and we'll collect anecdotes? And I said, that's not a bad idea. Facebook was just starting to emerge. This was about 7 or 8 years ago now. And so we started a group, and my plan was, I thought we might get 500 or 600 people if we're lucky, and that would be a significant number to give me anecdotes to research and feed off. It grew like topsy. We had 1,000 within a month, then it went to 20,000 within 3 months, and it just went up and up and up. And we policed the site pretty well. As we cut out all the rat bags and kicked them out, and it's been fairly stable the last couple of years at about 270 to 280,000 members. I've got about 25 voluntary administrators who administrate it for me, and it's there to collect anecdotes, real, good and bad, and to figure out what's going on. And it's been very revealing for me, some of the aspects. I'll work through them and tell you about them. That's the group. Basically, turmeric is very hard to be absorbed and metabolised. If you do absorb it, you excrete it very quickly. And that's where you need to use pepper. It has a compound in it called piperine. It slows the liver function down and keeps the active concurminoid polyphenols more active in your system, so that the metabolism is not let down, because if you absorb it slowly and excrete it fast, you don't get a very good effect. So the pepper increases the metabolic effect of it. It also isn't soluble in water at all. So anybody that makes turmeric tea is wasting their time. You need to cook it with an oil, and you need to make what's called golden paste, where you basically half a cup of turmeric powder cooked up with a cup and a half of water, then solubilises and takes a lot of the bitterness out of the concurminoids, and then you can put that with food. You can store it in the fridge, or you can mix it up with some oil, such as linseed oil, coconut oil, olive oil. Put a bit of pepper in it and store it in the fridge, where it'll keep for about 2 weeks. If you're going to keep it longer than that, you need to freeze it. Freeze it in little blobs so you can thaw it out and utilise it in all your food. It goes very well with scrambled eggs, mashed potatoes. It needs to be in food. Don't eat it by itself, because you won't absorb it properly. It's an anticoagulant. If you're on anticoagulant drugs, you need to monitor that, and you need to reduce or even go off them. So you need to talk to your doctor. Arthritis, very, very effective. This is where I came onto it first of all. It mobilises people, animals, and it mobilises them really well. Here's a story about a little dog that couldn't walk, and she sent me a video and get it going. He's had a leg amputated. He grew another leg And that's a dog that used to lie around all day doing nothing. He was so crippled he couldn't walk. I've got probably several dozen videos like that. I don't want to bore you with them all, but basically there's another little trio of dogs. Basically it revives and immobilises animals. Animals that lie around all day, humans that lie around all day, all of a sudden they're energised and get up and run. Blood pressure. Reduces blood pressure. And you need to watch that. It's not dangerous, but if you stand up quickly, if you take a blood pressure reducing tablet and turmeric, you might feel faint and fall over. It's quite obvious if you're on blood pressure tablets. So there are thousands of studies for its anti-cancer effects, and it affects cancer in numerous ways. Basically, it removes the inflammation, but it also increases the immune system, and you get apoptosis. It stops the angiogenesis, it stops the development of the circulation to cancers, and it slows them down. And I've actually seen some fantastic results with melanomas, for example. I wished I'd have taken a photograph of one. A lady got me out to see a horse that had an infected ear about a year ago. And it was a great horse, 33 years old. It was fairly old. I looked in its ear and there's a cancer. It was a melanoma about as big as a walnut. And obviously the gold standard treatment now for melanomas is to remove them with 2-finger margins so you get all the edges. And we weren't going to cut this horse's ear off. And I said, well, just let him go along. But I've got this stuff that you can try. I had some dimethyl sulfoxide that I dissolved turmeric in, and I said, spray that on the ear and see what happens. It was doing something. I gave it to her, and I didn't expect any result. I saw the horse about 6 weeks later, and I couldn't find that growth in the ear at all. It got better, and I actually saw that horse a month ago again, had a look at it. And I wished I'd have taken the original photograph because that cancer was gone. I was astounded. Now, here's a picture of a dog with a melanoma that had been operated on 3 times, and it come back straight away. It was in the lymph node, and that dog was started onto a high dose of turmeric and curcumin, and topically with a bit of DMSO. And it got better. There it is 6 weeks later, and there it is with the melanoma gone. It was a melanoma. They did histopathology on it, and that's exactly what it was. And he was given 3 to 6 months to live, and the dog now has gone on and on. It's effective against sarcoids in horses. That's a sarcoid on a horse's eye. This horse was just fed turmeric at a high dose. That's it about 2 months later, and that's it, gone.
What sort of high dose? How much did they give the horse?
That horse was on a heaped tablespoon once a day.
That's it? Golden paste?
No, just turmeric powder. Because horses can digest it far better than monogastrics like dogs and humans. Now this next picture is spectacular. The horse had a sarcoid on its face, been operated on several times, and the owner was told to put it down. And that's how it grew back. So I never saw this horse. I just told her what to do through emails and through the Facebook group. So she fed it the big dose of powder on, and she didn't put it on topically. About 3 months later, it started to go down, a little bit further down the track, a little bit further, and then it's virtually gone. And I didn't get the gone picture,
So
but it is
good.
gone.
Isn't it? It's so good.
And that's the case that I discussed with Oliver Lyon, the vet down at Grafton. It's a sarcoid on the horse's foot. He debulked it, put the horse on the turmeric, and it too went away and hasn't come back. Sarcoids are caused by bovine papillomavirus, and I think there could be a good link up with cervical cancer in humans, because that's caused by human papillomavirus. But I've got no data on that. I am on the ethics committee of the Clyde Berghofer Cancer Research Institute, and I talked to the researchers there. There's a group there now for the last year been researching turmeric and curcumin, and they're onto some really useful, exciting things. It works. Cardiovascular effects. It's good for your heart, it's good for your cholesterol. It creates the good cholesterol, and there is some evidence to say that it benefits your blocked up arteries. That together with your blood pressure reduction, it works fairly well. Cognition and brain health. It probably is another compound called turmerone that is in the whole turmeric plant that affects your brain cognition and affects the neurons and your synapses and stuff like that. There's all sorts of stories. There's one there about that lady who had Alzheimer's disease and kidney failure, and she did fairly well on that. There are numerous stories that have come out of my group with Alzheimer's, with dementia, aging processes, all that. I always tell people to give up sugar. Give up sugar, give up sugar. Don't add sugar to anything. Sugar is a very, very big precursor to inflammation in the body and cancer. And Ross and Elaine have both mentioned that. Sugar's the devil. Very effective for diabetes along with cinnamon and ginger. It stabilises the glucose metabolism, and it also, if you're a diabetic, you generally have to reduce your dose of insulin if you take golden paste. If you're on metformin, I've got lots of anecdotes of people going off metformin because they don't need it anymore. You need to monitor the blood sugar though. Depression. It increases serotonin levels in your gut and in your brain. And if you're on antidepressants, you need to watch the amount of turmeric golden paste you take, because you might end up with serotonin syndrome, so you need to reduce your dose of antidepressants. There is some research data comparing it to fluoxetine, which is Prozac, and the conclusion was it was equal to or better than fluoxetine for depression. Energy levels. Increases your metabolic rate, makes you feel better. Because you feel better, your blood glucose is stable, you're more energetic, you lose weight. Consistently people tell me they lose weight. A lot of athletes are on it. I talk to a lot of athletes all the time. My niece is an Olympic cyclist. She loves it. She's got her little kids on it, and the little kids are they're my taste testers for my products. They don't like the spicy ones, and I've had to make a turmeric bar without ginger and without, there's still got pepper in it, and without the chili and the other stuff that I put in the hot spicy one.
So do you have a children's bar now? Are you making a kid's bar? A turmeric kids bar?
No. My niece Sarah has got her two little kids on, and she's training them up to be Olympians as well. And they take a little bit, probably need to watch, if they have a lot of them, the amount of oxalates that's in them. And you need to have balanced vegetables with high levels of calcium, and then can react with the oxalates in the turmeric. Or if you're taking a little bit of turmeric, there's not too much of a problem, because there's oxalates in lots of things like tea and the spinach and all sorts of vegetables. You just need to have a mixed vegetable balance in your diet. But little Bobby, who loves the bars, she's limited to a half a bar a day, and just a finger width is all she takes. They cook with turmeric as well. Fibromyalgia. Numerous anecdotes on that. You need to watch the drug interactions, because pepper, as well as stopping the excretion of the curcuminoids, stops the excretion of some of the other drugs. And so you might build up a high level. You need to talk about to your doctor the drugs that you're on, particularly antidepressants, but some of these drugs for fibromyalgia as well. Gastrointestinal tract. Inhibits the growth of Helicobacter pylori. We did an experiment down at Charles Sturt University on gastric ulcers in horses, and we found they were about 40% reduced. Very good for gastric ulceration. And protective against inflammatory bowel disease. I've got a really good, cool story about a fellow in America who got pulled off a plane flying from New York to London because he had diverticulitis, and they put him in a hospital and said that they stabilised him and said, booked him in next month to have a complete resection of his large colon because it was no good, as they said. And he got on to me, and he went on to change his diet, increase his fibre, increase the amount of turmeric in his diet, curcumin, and Jim Wyndham's his name. And when he went in for the surgery, they got him on the table and stuck the scope up his cloaca, and couldn't find any problems at all. So he recovered, and they said, if we hadn't seen these pictures in front of us from the month before, we can't believe what we're seeing. So he saved his guts, so he's a big fan of what I'm doing. And I'm going to go and see Jim, actually, because that's fairly miraculous. Liver health, very good for liver. Increases glutathione peroxidase levels in your liver, and if you drink a bit of alcohol, you'll find that you metabolize it 2 to 3 times faster. I've done a couple of trials with friends, and I've got a really good breathalyzer. And the first one I did, I was amazed. There were two women who drank a bottle of Biscanti between them, and half an hour after that, they both blew 0. I couldn't believe that. We did a trial at the Burleigh Surf Club. We had 20 of the staff and friends, and they had, I breathalyzed them in 0. There were a couple came in cut. They were 0.12 and 0.11, and they stayed that way all the way through the experiment. But they all had 6 to 8 standard drinks, and the rest of them, none of them went over 0.05 in an hour. And that's why I call the bites beer bites, because there's no beer in them. They're designed to reduce the alcohol in your blood when you're drinking. And I've got a lot of anecdotes to say that that works very well. Migraines, they're not universally responsive to turmeric. They're a complex thing in themselves. Turmeric's a vasodilator, and quite often it will make migraines worse. I've got a good story about fertility. It increases fertility. I've got 2 or 3 good stories about fertility. It increases fertility quite considerably. I've got a friend who did a trial for me. He's got about 1,000 chickens. He's got an egg laying, and And he reckons he got a 30 to 40% increases in egg production by feeding turmeric, which is pretty good. I've got a friend who's a swimming trainer. He's got his whole swimming team on turmeric on the bars. And he and his partner are on the bars. And she got pregnant. So that's pretty normal. The thing is, he's 51, she's 48, and they thought they were sterile and they've never ever used birth control in their whole life. And she's had a baby now. So that was a bit of a... It was good, but watch out. It might interfere with birth control pills too. Glenn Colnick's wife, she's had a little baby now, and they were finished. They had 3 boys, they were 12, 13, 15, and she never missed a day on the pill, and one day she discovered she was pregnant. And she got right into me, and I said, it wasn't my fault, I didn't do anything. But now they've got a lovely little baby girl who's just turned 2, I think, and they're very happy with what happened. But that was an accident. I've also got 2 colleagues who have been on IVF programs for years, and both of them, once going on a turmeric, within a month, both got pregnant, and their babies are on the ground now. Seizures. Anecdotally, it does reduce seizures for epilepsy, and I've seen that happen in dogs as well. I've also seen dogs with Cushing's disease, which is hyperactive adrenal glands, come back to normality. Very good for skin, nails, hair growth. It reduces sunburn, and I've actually gone out and physically got myself sunburned to prove it. And the way I took my turmeric when I did my sunburn trials, I did it 2 ways. Boiling water onto a heaped teaspoon of turmeric, mix it up, put a bit of coconut oil with it, a little bit of milk, and down it. Within half an hour, the sunburn disappears. I've also tried it topically with a gel, and as you know, curcumin is very bright orange and it stains. I use tetrahydrocurcumin, which is a metabolite of curcumin that's clear and doesn't stain. And we found that reduced sunburn within 20 minutes. We also found that it was very effective on about 90% of the psoriasis cases I trialled it on. And I'm getting a new batch made up. I initially did 100, and I got really, really good positive feedback for psoriasis, rashes, itches. Also for basal cell carcinomas. It works fairly well for them as well. As far as skin and hair growth goes, it makes your hair, my hair's not too bad. All my colleagues the same age, all grey hair, and baldy, falling out. And I just turned 71 last month. And it is really good for horses' hair as well. You find a chestnut horse gets a really deep chestnut coat, all shiny. Gum health, very good. I've got a couple of friends who are dentists, and they, because I'm from Cairns, everybody knows me in Cairns. One of my clients came to me and said, I went to the dentist the other day, and the dentist said to me, you must be eating turmeric. And she said, how do you know that? She said, well, all the tartar is really hard, your gums are very healthy, and I see this all the time in people that eat turmeric because they do have very healthy gums. I've used it as a treatment for gingivitis in dogs, and it's effective for that as well. It is used as a toothpaste in India quite widely. It's probably a bit abrasive. Mixed up with bicarb soda and turmeric, my son uses that as his regular toothpaste all the time. Weight loss, because it increases your metabolism, it stabilises your blood glucose. You don't feel hungry if your blood glucose is stable, therefore you don't snack. If you exercise more, you're using up more energy, and it makes the fat be metabolised. What happens normally if you're snacking all the time, if that metabolism goes to sleep and you go out and have a run, you feel starving hungry, and you think, okay, well that's all right, I can have a Mars bar, or I can have a juice drink or something like that. So you use up 500 calories, but then you take in 600 calories, so you don't lose weight at all. If you don't snack, you will lose weight. And if you exercise, you increase your metabolic rate, you increase your wellness from your increased metabolic rate, everything works better. And you use up your stored fat. Wound healing increases the rate that wounds heal. And I've tried this and I've tried it topically with honey. It really does increase the rate of wounds healing. And I often get bitten by dogs and have some nasty wounds. And I've tried it out on myself all the time. And I'll have a bad dog bite, and it generally takes me 6 to 10 days and I'm healed up.
I say when I was in Indonesia, and people that have not ridden scooters before come off their bikes fairly quickly, and we were at a place that's like a small hotel, and one of the tourists fell off and got grazed down a leg, and quick as a wink the person in the restaurant got the turmeric and just grated it down and plastered it all over the leg, just the turmeric root. And so that's a standard treatment in Indonesia, just the root.
It's a fairly standard treatment in India as well.
Yeah.
It's really effective as a wound healing. And I've got another funny story that happened. A couple of fellows wanted to have a meeting with me, a business meeting, and so we did that. And they said, would you be prepared to do a special label for your beer bites and exclusive to us? We think it's better than Viagra. And, we own 6 sex shops in Australia, and we want to market it through that. And I think, wow, what's going on here? It does increase libido anecdotally, and I told my Austrade friend that, and Austrade are actually financing me now to register the beer bites into China as a libido stimulant. And I'm going to target saving the rhinos with it, and that'll be registered within a month, I would hope. I've been working on it for about 6 months, and it's just about to go through.
Can you show that slide of the rhino one?
The rhino slide?
Yeah.
I'll find it.
It's on the
Something falls, I forget what I'm feeling. before. So I hope that if these go well in China, I'll be able to divert a fair bit of money into saving the rhinos.